So thanks guys for stopping by. I just thought I'd have a very quick play with pencils, but these are water-based pencils, but we're using them as a dry pencil. And I'm looking for the Nutcrackers because that's the one I did last year. So that one, we have a cat in the bag now as well. Sorry guys, we have a cat in the bag. Who's eating? Oh, somebody's having a drink. See if we come on live. Sorry guys, having technical difficulties again today. So these are the Derwent watercolour pencils, but I've used them as a watercolour. So I did that one last year, and I did this one last year, and I think that one is in the new pencils as well. So what I'm doing is actually using the Derwent watercolour pencils, and that's what I wanted to show you. Is how to use the Derwent watercolour pencils, but use them as a pencil rather than a watercolour. So I've attempted to start this particular page, which is the Thomas Kinkade Painter of Light colour book. But I wanted to use these gorgeous Derwent watercolour pencils as a pencil, not with water. And now we've got the light shining in here, we shouldn't complain. So we've got some new kids on the block. Jessie's gone to a good home, beautiful new home she's got, and she's on trial because she's obviously a very, very unusual kitten, or cat rather. She's 5. We have the babbies up there, which we can show you, being babbies. And then we have 2 of the black and white kittens that were left. I don't know where the other one is. I think he's eating. So we've got 3 of the original kittens. You're not going up there, Puss. Puss, 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 Puss. No, you're not going up there. Don't be naughty. And then we have 2 little black and white kittens that have arrived as well. But I wanted to have a bit of a play. So what I've done is I've sharpened some of the pencils with my Coombe automatic long point. It has 2 systems. One takes the wood off, which is what I used to do with a knife. So this is a lot better and a lot safer. And the other one creates a very sharp point. But you can get used to it and not take it quite as sharp if you don't want. And that's what I was doing with this one here, is building up a little bit of colour. I think I'm going to do a Christmas bauble. That might be a little bit too small. Let's see what we've got on here. We've got, these are more cottagey things, aren't they? Let's have a look. I bought some Christmas books last year and not really done very much with them. That's the Derwent, I forgot about that. That's the Derwent Graphitint. But again, using it as a pencil because this is thin. Using it as a pencil and not activating it with water, just using it as a pencil. And I really enjoyed doing that. So I thought I'd just have a very quick play. I suppose we could do this one, couldn't we? What's the first one? Although my rule has gone out the window. Oh, we've got this one. We could do this Christmassy one. We'll do this very quickly. What I want to do is to say, if you want, well, I like pencils, but I'd love some watercolour pencils. The Derwent I love because you've got both. You use them as a pencil, use them as a watercolour pencil, and you can use them as a watercolour. And what's happened is I've broken the nib off one and thrown it in the bottom here. When I add water to this, it will become a watercolour. And I've kept the shavings as well. And of course that makes this the perfect set. I was going to do some sharpening, but sometimes you don't need to do as much sharpening. If you've got a very specific point, then you need that, but normally times out of 10 you don't. So we'll do the little I'll do the little packages on the book. Now I use this this Derwent this pencil case, but I'm thinking of taking these out and putting them in a Derwent. These are £20 at the minute, and it's a Derwent folio, and I do have a piece of paper. It's called a Derwent Carryall A4 folio, but you can get 68 pencils. So if you've got a set of 72, the whites and the blacks and the greys I would put in the pocket here. And that's what I've done with the Inktense. I've got my Inktense pencils here. I've got my, because I'm using them as a watercolour, I've got my Asda chopping board that's got raised bits in it. So I can scratch colour and mix thousands of colours. And these are light fast. I've got them in my light to dark colour order. And then on the far side, I've got my fawns and my browns. But obviously, fall colours will be different. Fall colours will not fit in the pencil slots. So I'll put my black and my whites in here. But I'm getting obsessed again with my Inktense pencils. I'm thinking about buying a new set purely because they are light fast. And I put the little stickers on when I rename mine, but mine are really old. Mine are rounded, and the names have worn off them, so some of them. So I decided that I would rename them, and I found the light fastness on the chart and left that in there. And I love this little one, so I've got my Inktense, and I'm going to I have another one to put my Derwent watercolour pencils in. And again, that is another set that I have the pencils, I have the colour book, I have a pencil sharpener. I don't need anything else, apart from the #1 watercolour brush. I wouldn't use it in this paper. This is like thin photocopy paper. So I have bought the Derwent electric rechargeable. And it has 4 A4 batteries, so it's very good quality, and I quite like it. It's portable, but I don't normally use pencils as a pencil, but you could do, and that's what I want to show you, how wonderful, and why I go on about my Derwent watercolour pencils. So let's pick some nice bright colours for here. Sorry, we have 5 kittens in the 5 kittens in the room, guys. Five kittens in the room, and hubby's made me a cup of tea. I think we might do a blue. There's a blue violet lake. That's nice blue, and then at the ultramarine, and maybe a little bit of Delft blue. We can really get some nice shadows. Now I don't normally sharpen mine, as you can see. This is how I got them last year. I've sharpened a couple of them, but I'll show you what I've been doing. Is this particular Coombe Long Point. I used to sharpen my pencil by taking the wood off and then sharpening with a blade, but my hands have got poorly. So this is the next best thing. What happens is you put it in the #1 slot. And I'm holding the top off so you can see exactly what's happening. And you turn it. And you keep turning it. And what you can see is it's taking the wood off. If you don't tip it up. It takes the wood off. It's taking a little bit of colour. but you can see what's happening at the top. The purple strip. And you keep turning until it's just going round. You hear that? No more wood is coming off. So I'll get rid of the wood. I'm going to leave the purple in for a reason, because I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. So we get rid of the woody bits. Now obviously if you do this in one, it comes off. It's just that my hands don't work particularly very well. And what you can see at the top there, oh, I've frozen, sorry guys, let's have a look, see what's happening. See if I can unfreeze myself. It may be the internet. We've not got, it's not particularly brilliant, the internet at the minute. Right, I think we're live, guys. Sorry about that. So if you see that turning round, it's not going to sharpen anything else, because what's happened is it's got to stop at the top. And if I take it out like that, you can see it's not going to take any more. But what it's done, it's taken the wood off and left the strip almost on its own. Now what you do is you put it in this one. Now you can take it to any extreme you want, and you can see now that's pure watercolour. Take it out. I think that's enough. You can take it sharper. I think that's quite enough. And what I've been doing is, because I broke one of them off, of pure colour, I bobbed it in a little empty pan. So it's always a good idea if you do play with watercolours to have some empty pans. I've got full size and little ones, and then I'm going to tip that colour into there, get as much wood out as possible without putting it in the tea, and then putting it into there. And now I've got watercolour. And the reason I want to do that is to show that, yeah, it's fiddly and most people just chuck that away, but it is actually a beautiful, beautiful professional watercolour in its own right, because that's obviously why I bang on about them so much. So that's given me the blue violet with quite a long point. Now you obviously don't want to stab down with it, you just want to be gentle and just stroke. So what I'm going to do, let me just do that a little bit. I don't know why it's processing, it looks like we may have died a death. Oh, hi Michelle, welcome to Bonnie's Designs. Anybody else popping in? Having technical difficulties again. But I'm going back to the camera next year, so that should be good. So all I'm really showing you is my hands are poorly. The slightest feather touch, because you will break that beautiful point. Now you can work this angle. And I would put one very faint little circular motions if you want. I'm going to leave the middle bit and I'm going to just do the little box. And it's very, very soft, this. Sorry about the light, guys. Very, very soft. Just scratching the surface. Now, I'm not an expert on pencils. I don't use pencils. I haven't used them for a long time. But I wanted to show you how versatile these Derwent watercolour pencils are. So we've got a really lovely subtle shade. Now, you've got to decide if you want where the light and dark comes from. We can do the same on the top. There's going to be some hissy spitty because we have two new kittens which arrived yesterday afternoon. So of course they're not used to being in this room. They've never seen this room before. They've seen me before and Samantha. They've never seen the kittens before, the other kittens. So we've got a bit of hissy spitty going on, but the little white head ones come out. This is the litter of 5 spotty ones which I keep showing you. So I think if you wanted to do it this way, and you would do prisms and cubes and crystals in the same way, but there's lots of videos about how people do things. So I hope we can see. I hope you can see, guys. It's just this silly light. Of course, it's almost the longest, the shortest day. So of course we've got sunshine coming at very low. But I've got a little bit of purple. Now you can do another colour if you want over the top. What I might do is just think this is going to be darker. I don't want to press on, and I turn the pencil. Now this is ordinary, probably photocopy paper. So again, it's not it doesn't have a tooth, but it might just bring out that little bit. And then if you wanted to think of a different colour, again, this is where your little bit of paper comes. Always have a spare bit of kitchen roll. So we've got Delft Blue, we've got Blue Violet Lake, which is what I've started with. And then I picked out the ultramarine, the Delft Blue Dark, which is a bit more purpley. And those three were going to give me the shadows. So I don't have to sharpen them. I'm not really a sharpener girl. I just wanted to show you what I was doing. So I think the top under the tree might be slightly darker because, of course, it's under the tree. And then we could have a bit of a shadow for the bow. And I've done that middle one wrong. I should have done that a different colour. But again, you think that's going to be darker. And you can see you can build up a little shadow. Maybe the light's showing that quite nicely. And the last one. I did pick up the ultramarine, but I don't think I'm going to bother with the ultramarine. I think I'm just going to do this one. And then, of course, here there might be, again, very soft, subtle. You can build up layers. I'd probably do about 2 layers, 3 at the most. Don't really do too many layers, but we can show that there's a bit of shadowing going on. And then, of course, the ribbon, there will be, and that will be dark. That would be darker. And you can see it's got a bit more form to it now. A little bit more form. And then you can do that shadow sticking down if you want later. But shadows I would do when I've done everything else. But what I wanted to show you was just little soft movements. So I think we'll have a green. I'm being naughty and taking the paint. Normally I'd put the pencils back. If I was doing this off camera, I would get a pencil out and I would put it back. It's not very often I leave it out. I do like the sap green for Christmas, I have to say. But again, put it near and see what you think. I think I kind of like this. And again, very soft, not bothering to sharpen this one. There's colour there, it's fine. I would have liked to have kept that white. But there's lots and lots and lots of videos on pencil blending. But I wanted to show you what the watercolour pencil could do. So quite enjoyed this particular page. Was it this particular page I did? And again, a couple of pounds for this particular one. This was the Derwent traditional, the first pencils. They're slightly very slightly waxier. These are the original ones, which we can't get anymore. So to be fair, I did another one. There's a couple of videos on this one. So this was the start of the one now. So when you buy these Derwent watercolour pencils, they are blue. This is what you get. This is using them dry. But of course, we've got the added advantage that we can then use them as a watercolour, and we can use them as a travel watercolour and put them in our little book of watercolours. So I can't stress enough just how amazing these pencils are. I think the Joanna one I did I think this was, again, a first play in what I call a proper book. Again, Derwent watercolour pencils. First couple of plays, there's a video on this. So these are Derwent watercolour pencils used as a pencil, completely dry. So you want your pencils, you want a good sharpener and a book, that's it. No water, no mess. Use them on any thin paper. That's the advantage of them. Hope that makes sense, guys. And I'm not sure of the technique for other pencils. This is how I use my Derwent watercolour pencils. Because I've got quite a few books that I don't want to use water on, so I decided that I'd like to do this. So we've got a dead flat colour there, but it's shown a couple of highlights. So of course we can think that another little layer now to build up the colour. I have a colouring companion. It's my colouring companions. Hello, darling. Puss, 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 puss. Oh, and look who we got on the block. Oh, very quickly, guys. I'll just show you. Hector. Hi, Hector. Oh, Hector plays with that. Oh, that's wonderful. So this is after, he's been here 24 hours. He came yesterday afternoon. I'm going to move that because he's going to be in the water. So that's wonderful. Nobody's bothering anybody else. We just want the little girl to come out now. And what I thought was, if we brought the hammock, the other kittens had a different tree tower. So that tree tower was the one we had for our kittens. And they were brought up on a different one, which is in the other house. And what I thought was to bring the kittens out a bit, although I'm quite pleased Hector's done that now. It's fine. I feel a lot better now. I've just got my... what I thought that we would do. Now you could sharpen it, but really, I don't want harsh lines. There's still watercolour pigment in there, so it's a lovely little way to work. Again, it's got to be easy for me. It's got to be a bit easy. I think I'm going to move that. So we can leave that to be that lovely highlight. And of course your highlights always look lighter when they're next to a shadow, and your shadows always look darker when they're next to a highlight. So of course we're building up some quite, even though it's just one and a bit layers, it's getting there. We can see there's a bit of form. Now we could do two things. We can decide that we're going to go for a different green, or we can add a touch of scarlet. I think I'm going to use Geranium Lake. And again, this is where you can practice with your greens. So we'll take our sap green, and then we can add a little bit of Geranium Lake, and look at that beautiful subtle shadow. So I wouldn't want any sharp edges on there, but just a little bit under there. And of course, you've got to decide where your shadows are. They might be in a different place. But that's given that little bit more. And then we can go back over it with the green. And this is, I like this method with these pencils because this paper is quite thin. So there's no mention of we're going to slap tons of water on it. We don't want to do that. And we could keep this dark because we've got these two beautiful shiny highlights. And then we can build up that little bit more. You probably get 3 or 4 layers. I'm a bit out of practice, but you can see we have a little bit of form, and that's what I like about it. A quick slurp of tea. We could have red baubles going right round. So the red's probably going to be, I do like, and I've just sharpened this one earlier, really sharpened it with the Coombe 2-point system sharpener. And again, we can practice a flat circular colour, and then we can think, okay, then let's just see if we can build what do we have to add to that. So we can leave the little subtle light. So we've got a highlight on our little cherry or bead. I quite like that actually. Or we can think, okay, then let's just put complementary green in there and give that a bit more of a contrast. So now we've got a really nice deep highlight. And when we go back in to kind of deepen our darks and lighten our highlights, this is when we can put that other layer. So we end up with a really nice bead. And as I said, this is not how you do pencil blending. I don't do pencil blending. This is how I do it with these particular Derwent watercolour pencils. And these little beads, if you can see, have already got the highlight. So the first thing to do is to just go around each one, little circular motions if you want to get a general feel. Hi Hector. So this is little Hector. Hello, darling. It's beautiful. And he's normally full of it, but as I say, he's actually in a new home. So he's... Sorry guys, I'm trying to do 10 things at once. He's in a new home, so he's obviously... Hector. He's obviously finding his feet, which I'm not doing particularly well with this. Oh, look, they're going to meet for the first time, look. Hello, darling. Puss, puss. Babies. And they all know the babies word. Babies. Babies. Puss, 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 puss. And look who I've just seen here, look. I didn't realise I've just woke one baby. But look who's asleep. Hello, babies. He's fast asleep. So now you see there's 2 of them come to say hi. And 2 is a bit too much, even though Hector's Hector. Hi, Hector. Puss, 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 babies. Hi, babies. Hello, darling. No, we don't want hissy spitty, thank you. Of course, he just doesn't care about anything. I think that's a little laid back little boy because he's got no white on him. Sorry, guys, we had to have a bit of an Alfie, a bit of a cam. Alfie's asleep in there. Bungle's about somewhere. Bungle can come in here now and start playing with the kittens. So that's going to be quite nice for him. Let me have a look at my phone for chat and then I can see if I can answer any questions. Oh, the sun fixed the fuzzies. That's good. Alfie's asleep on the sofa. He's doing quite well. He's doing quite well. So we're getting there. So I will just go around, and again, this is just me, not used to doing this with a pencil. Done it a few times. Obviously used pencils over the years, but not recently. I'm not a pencil girl. Because my hands are not very good. I mean, even doing this now, it's I couldn't do this all day, but you know, you have to pick and choose what you want to do. But of course, it gets me out of the fact that I could take this away, work through a book, and it's thin, so I don't need any water paper or any watercolors. Just the little pack, and that's why I've fallen in love. I do love the big pencil cases for storage and for use at home, like the beautiful big wooden boxes, which I am going back to, by the way. I am going back to my wooden boxes next year because I don't go anywhere now. And sometimes you have to readapt things. So we'll have to see what happens. But I would just put that little line because we've got that highlight. And then I can go back through and do other things as well. But if you do this one first, you know which colour you've used. Because if you watch my shows, you know I forget. And again, this is photocopy paper. So although we like the image, we can't expect too much. But, you know, we'll get that with these beautiful Derwent watercolour pencils. And when you hear me do the other ones with my vintage, they are waxier. And I do actually prefer my 30-year-old ones better than these, but these are lovely for blending as well. So there's no point banging on about them because they're not going to change the formula back. So I've had to accept the fact that this is the set that I'm going to be using. It's a bit like the Neos. I much prefer the Aquella from 30 years ago than the Neocolor 2s. I like the shape of them. I like the little fat things. I just love them. But unless we badger Caran d'Ache, they won't bring them out. Now, they have the moulds. They could bring them out because they have the moulds, because the moulds they use for the oils. So if you see any little fat oil pastels from Caran d'Ache, that's exactly the same size as my watercolour ones. So I think they should start bringing those sets back again because they still have the moulds. They still have the pigments. Oops, we're having a big fight. We're having a play fight. It's play fight. Boxing. No, he was asleep. What did you do that for? Puss, puss. No. Now. We were having a sleep in the sun. And now you're not. It's nap time. Now behave yourselves. So I'll just do a little berry down here. And put, you see, a little bit of dark underneath. I've still got that lovely highlight on top. And I'm thinking I might not actually put different colours in this one. I like it. So I do like kind of like that. The other one that I really liked was this one. And this was the Graphitint, the Derwent Graphitint. So that's the Derwent Graphitint using it as a watercolour, because of course this is Joanna Basford. It's thicker paper and it's great. But this is the same pencils used as a pencil. That's the Derwent watercolour pencils used as a pencil. That was one of my first attempts. Not brilliant, but I'm not a pencil girl. And I think it's in this one. And this is the Derwent Graphitint used as a dry pencil, just blended as a dry pencil. And I really like doing that. I think there is a video on that. And I love the little way you could build up the colours. And the Derwent Graphitint pencils, there's 24 in a tin, but you have some beautiful, subtle colours. And again, that's using it as a pencil. There's no water. There's no water. It's just using it as a pencil. And again, anything that you can do that with, I love. I love. I just love the fact that this is a professional watercolour pencil, but you can use it as a pencil if you happen to have a favourite colour book that you cannot use any type of water on. Now, as you know, I watercolour on a napkin. So I can work very, very, very barely damp. But sometimes I don't want to be messing about. I just want to have fun. And that's how to do this one. So have you got any questions, guys? So thanks for stopping by on this live Thursday show on a Wednesday. On a Wednesday. And again, you can just... And I actually quite like the fact that I've got a really nice, simple effect. And I haven't spent 6 hours doing it. I've got 2 layers. And then when I finish the whole page, like I did with the birds, I will finish the whole page. I will use an electric eraser if I want a highlight where I've missed. And I will use a very dark to just give that little bit emphasis on a shadow. And that will completely change it. And that's all I'll do. I don't want to spend 10 hours on one bauble. I can do that when I'm doing my photorealism, but not in a colour book. This is colour for therapy. We want a very quick effect. It's got to be simple. It's got to be easy. It's got to be pain-free. And it's not got to break the bank as well, because there's no point buying these things to be thingied and then think, well, I'm in debt now because I've just bought all these things. So I do like the versatility of these pencils. Are you all right, darling?
It's 25 past 12. Would you like some soup? What time are you finishing?
Yes, I will. I'll have some soup and I'll finish in a couple of minutes, darling, because it's Wednesday. So I don't know if you can see just that little bit. Now, I would do slightly more to that, but I wouldn't do it now. I'd get it all to that right thing, and then what I would do is look and think, right, I'm going to get that highlight back on the top of the ribbon, and I can darken that, and then I can darken the berry because it's the beads, because they're behind the gingerbread man. But only like you do that with a normal painting. You do a flattish colour, and then you work a little bit on each thing, and then you look at the picture as a whole and think, well, actually, you know, that package, that bow wants to be in my face, but that wants to be dark. And that's when I did, if you want to get that technique, you have a look at the Harry Potter Hagrid page. We're done with pastels. There's 3 layers. And again, that's really trying to get the colours. But do basic colours, and then you can go back. And again, you see, you find yourself that I just want that little bit more shadow around there. And there's no reason then, if you look at the, although that's a red, I actually quite like using, if it's a green, I use indigo, or not indigo, yes, indigo, the very dark blue. If I have a green leaf, I love using indigo. So again, I might have used indigo as my shadow. If I use a red, I use a burnt carmine. And if I use a yellow, I normally use a different colour. Excuse me. And if you see instantly, and again, we've only got a couple of layers on this one. I've now got a lovely deep shadow under here. So I don't always use complementary colours, but you can do. The blue one, I use the blues, anything blue and some reds, I will use chocolate as my shadow colour. For my greens, I use indigo, and purples and blues, I use indigo as well. And then for the reds and the oranges, I will use burnt carmine. And those are my really 3 favourite darks. There's a reddy dark, a browny dark, and a bluey dark. And that's why I love my darks and my greys. So I kind of like that. So let's very quickly find the dark carmine. And then, I'm sorry guys, I have to go. Apologies for that, but I don't want to be... I think burnt carmine is normally over here. Burnt carmine is here. And I don't have a point because I use it a lot for shadows. So very quickly, put this in here and we'll turn it. I'll do this normal speed. Until we can't turn. It's quite a lot because it wasn't sharp. And what I'm going to do is actually, to keep that to one side. I've actually broken a bit off there, so I'll sort that out later. See, there's a bit in the bottom there, look. I've broken the tip. That's pure colour, that. So I'm going to put that into a new little pan set. So I've taken that to its long, put it in number 2 and started to take the colour off it. Then look, I've got a point. I don't want a finer point than that really, because I want to press on a little bit. And the minute I do that, I'll break it. But what I want to do is just show you that if you just do this burnt carmine, and again, I've got 3 layers on here, so you know you're not going to get much more. I have to feed the kittens as well. It's feeding time at the zoo. Because the little girl didn't come out this morning. So I've got a little bit of burnt carmine. So we've got 1 layer, we've got 2 layers, and then we've got a little bit of burnt carmine. And that just makes them rounded. And then if you wanted to put your highlight in the white, you would take that off and make that pure white. And then you would have that beautiful bauble highlight. So I hope that made sense, guys. Thanks for stopping by. I'll puddle along for a bit longer till hubby comes in. And again, what you want is, you want that darkest round that line because it gets rid of it. And there's a kitten under here. And of course you can really get that bauble behind there dark. But I normally do that kind of detail at the end to kind of bring things forward and knock things back. So the blue, I said I used indigo. So now you see, I haven't got a sharp point, but I've got a ridge. I have a ridge on, oh sorry, you can't see, there is a bit. So I'm used to using that because I'm a tight Yorkshire lass. Now, as I say, I would do this at the end, but look at that Delft blue, and I've now put indigo, and it's transformed I've got a cooler shadow. And then if I had a real sharp point, which I might not be able to get down there, that ribbon would look like it's ribbon. It's not attached to the, and again, and then under here, we've got the shadow, but now we want another shadow within a shadow. And again, that I haven't quite got the point that I wanted. But this is the detail you put on almost at the end, because but you can get the idea that now that is looking a bit more. And of course this is pencil, we can do a background, which is something else I don't normally do. So we can bring a background and then we can have the shadows in the cubes and really break them pop. So I hope that made sense. Is it indigo that I use? I'm sure it's indigo that I use. The very dark blue that I use. I'm sure it's indigo. So I've just done a little bit. And again, yeah, it's not even a quarter. Maybe an eighth done. But I can see I've got a little bit of progress. And again, I'm quite childish that way. I don't mind messing about, but I like to see a little bit of progress. And that almost has like a velvety effect rather than the shiny one. It's almost like a velvety shine. You would use the gold, because I think on this one number 3 is gold. And my gold's been quite badly done to. So I don't think I'm going to get any gold out, but I would have used the gold for the top. And then that would have given me, and then you could, if you wanted to, just put a little bit of yellow. Again, this is the highlighty bit. Now remember, there's no colour on this whatsoever. Look at that. But still, look at that lovely flat, soft facet. And I've managed to put a gold tint to it. So I do have lots of different colours in there. I've got green, I've got red, I've got blue, I've got green, and I've got the emphasis of the gold. That shows up. Excuse me, guys. It's quick. But again, that's, if somebody buys you a colour book and you can't use your watercolour pencils, you can, because you can use them dry. Oh, bye, Robin. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, Melody, it's very rare I use black. Very, very, very rare. I don't even like Payne's Grey, but it's growing on me. I love using a darker shadow. Most of mine, if I'm doing a leaf, it's indigo. If I'm doing a warm pinky red, it's carmine. And if I'm doing a cool grey or a brown, I use chocolate. Or if you haven't got chocolate, the other best one, because it's a cold one, is like a Van Dyke brown. You don't want a warm brown, you want a dark brown. A sepia. My other favourite is sepia. Sepia or chocolate. So if it's a warm brown, I use chocolate. If it's a dark, cold brown, sepia is like a grey. I would call it a brown black. But it's very, very, very rare I use black. Very rare. But I would always think of using that. But if it's a pinky, purpley red, you want it to have a bit of blue in it. So that's why I use the indigo. Or the burnt carmine. Always look at what your emphasis colour is. The red one, I used carmine. If it's purple, if it's green, because green is cool and indigo is blue and cool. So to get a cold shadow on a leaf, indigo is perfect. I hope that made sense. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Just drink my tea very quickly. So I'm going to put my pencils into here. And again, that means, and actually look at this. You can do this. Oh, this is the wrong one, but I'm going to take the pencils out. One of these pencils cases that I've got, the 160. This is the 216. I was 216 pencils. The other one actually fits into the Derwent binder. The binder's in the same place. But it means I can have my Derwent watercolour pencils in here. Instead of this, which I've got for my Inktense pencils, I can put a colour book. So I have a colour book. I've got my pencil sharpener. I can have a thin little ice cube tray, which I bought for £1, with a top on, and that's what I can put. And that's what I meant to do, actually. It's about somewhere. Bear with me 2 seconds. That's what I meant to use, because if you can get these ice cube trays, you might not use them for months, but they will store those pencils. And then you may find that, of course, certain pencils you will sharpen the same because it's your favourite pencil. And so you will probably end up with, and I want to find it because I bought them at Boys, it's £1. And I've not seen one before, and we've all had the idea with watercolours and inks in ice cube trays. This one has kind of like a really good quality flexi lid. Absolutely perfect for mixing watercolours. And of course Murphy's Law says I can't put my hand on it at the moment because we had to have a bit of a mishmashy rush to get things away. Oh, just found the pencil sharpener. So I'll test the pencil sharpener in a second. Just wanted to show you that. I just had to throw everything away very quickly. So things got thrown about a bit. And they didn't get thrown where I would have liked to throw them. Which is always not a good thing. But I think I paid £1.99. And it's basically an ice cube tray. And it's not the biggest one I've ever seen. See if I can fish it out for next time. I cannot believe I bobbed it somewhere. It has, and it's actually quite a good looking one. It's a smoke grey. And it has a clear grey top. So it actually looks quite arty. It has a finger hole on the top and you can hang it. It's quite good. Right, okay, thank you. So thanks guys for stopping by. Can't find what I was looking for. It's an ice cream. No. Okay guys, thanks ever so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks for stopping by. Have a wonderful Christmas if I don't see you before. Take care. Thanks for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. You can